Hey everyone, it's Ben Cicchini back with another episode of the Give and Grow podcast. This is our social emotional learning series where we're specifically diving into conversations around just that social emotional learning, mental health, and wellness. And today I'm really excited to dive into the specific niche of neurodiversity. And so today we have Ashley Goodwin here with us. Ashley is a licensed clinical social worker and therapist, a social emotional learning coordinator, and she specifically specializes in working with children, teens, and young adults that are neurodiverse in their families. So, Ashley, thank you so much for being here and getting on the podcast.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. So let's dive right in. Can you just explain a little bit from your perspective what social emotional learning is and why it's important for kids and maybe specifically for kids that are neurodiverse?
Yeah, absolutely. I I want to say that I love that we're having the conversation about social emotional learning uh, because it's such an integral factor in how we interact with people and places in our day-to-day lives. So the fact that we're having conversations about why these skills are important is so meaningful to me and to the students that I work with.
Hmm.
So, in short, social emotional learning is a term uh, referring to subjects that teach children and adults uh, how to support their own emotional and social well-being. So, the internal factors of our emotions and how we interact with the interpersonal worlds around us.
Beautiful.
And the reason why these skills are important to develop at any age is because we experience an influx of information that comes to us at any given time. And these skills help us process and make meaning from those experiences and adjust to what's going on in our environment in a healthy way. And then from the neurodiverse lens, it helps kids who struggle sometimes to make connections with others understand how to make connections in their own way that feels genuine and allows them to show up in a space as who they are, but also understand how to make interpersonal connections in a way that feels like a fit for them.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that whole thing. And I'm definitely super curious on like how in your line of work would you go about helping them build those interpersonal connections in a way that feels comfortable for them and others?
Sure. Yeah. So I think with anyone, it's important to start with where you're at. So for someone, it might be parallel play, like seeing and observing what peers are doing and understanding what might be going on. And then coaching, like, do you feel like you're ready for the next step? Like, do you feel like you want to make an introduction?
Hmm.
How might you do that? And then practicing those skills. I love using tools like books and movies and things that are of interest to kids to bring the connection home because you can talk about what the characters are doing and make it less about you as a person and, oh
Hmm.
gosh, what is this big next scary step that I have to do? Oh,
Hmm.
this favorite character in a book does it like this. Maybe I can try that on and see if that works for me.
Yeah.
Uh, and just really talking through the understandings in that way.
Yeah, I love that. And it definitely seems like it's an easy first step in the direction of actually taking action and trying these some of these things on for ourselves. Like, hey, let's it's I'm a basketball coach and I just immediately kind of think of like it's like film study. It's like, okay, I can kind of watch what these great guys are doing and then I can go work on that myself and having some coaching, some guidance along with that, with the stories, with the movies. I could see that being a really powerful thing for a young kid.
Yeah.
um so in specific, I want to better understand like how parents can help neurodiverse children identify and label their emotions, and like why that part of the social emotional learning might be important for everyone.
Yeah. So Learning and labeling our emotions is a key factor to understanding our own self-awareness, like what our bodies need in the moment, what emotionally we might need to take care of ourselves. So that can sometimes be difficult to connect internally with as someone who is neurodiverse.
Mm,
So the more opportunities we give kids to understand what they're experiencing, and even just talking about it in non-emotional lenses, like what are you feeling in your body right now? Is
mm,
it tense? Is your stomach upset? Um, when working with neurodiverse kids, I often get feelings come from the brain, which is so honest and true because that's
mm,
where the understanding of our emotions come from. And then developing a way to connect the mind and the body, like the
mm,
emotional and physical experience, is something that parents can help their students and children build. And one way to do that is body scans.
mm,
So, like getting kids in touch with what is going on in my body.
mhm,
The other way is to parents talk about your feelings and how you experience them. Like when you're experiencing nervousness, label that feeling. I'm feeling nervous right now. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in my shoulders, wherever you're experiencing that emotion. And that one normalizes that your feelings have a body sensation related to it. And it normalizes talking about feelings in a broader sense that makes it okay for kids to start trying on themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that in. I find that to be a really powerful practice for myself of being connected to my body, and I think, at least in my experience of the world and friends and family, like so many of us live up here, whether we're
Mhm.
on a screen a lot of the time or we're doing a lot of intellectual work throughout our day. It's easy to kind of stay up here and disconnect from the body. So this practice, I know for myself personally, like it's powerful to drop in, where am I feeling this? And like you mentioned, that what a powerful way to build that mind body connection so that we can be this whole human being that we are, and kind of even tap into the intelligence of the body. We might be able to feel that nervousness in our gut or our heart and be able to actually soothe that in some sort of way versus trying to think our way through it. Is that kind of best practices with someone that's neurodiverse, is building that body connection when it comes to emotions?
Yeah, I mean, I think the more that we can connect the the two, I'm going to call them hemispheres of our body,
Mhm.
um, the easier it becomes to build that understanding, whether you're neurodiverse or not. Now,
Mhm.
sometimes visualizations are difficult in a neurodiverse population, which is why something as concrete as a body scan
Mhm.
can be really helpful. And it can be progressive muscle relaxation where you tighten and release different muscle groups at a time. But having that ability to be really concrete to start and then building up to more maybe visualization based mindfulness practices.
Mhm.
And
Gotcha.
then I'll just add another way to practice this is with um, like cartoons that have really expressive emotions. Like you can see it very clearly on their face, and then asking what emotion, like predict what emotion are they experiencing,
Mhm.
um, just to get in the habit of labeling different emotions.
Yeah. And I love, once again, it's just things are clicking for me as we're talking. You kind of mentioned earlier meeting anybody when you're working with them where they're at, right?
Mhm.
Meet them where they're at. They love watching cartoons. They love being in their books potentially. They love being on their games. how can you incorporate that into their learning versus potentially like I think it can be easy to be like, cartoons, like they're not really helping you out. It's just kind of like numbing or just getting lost in it or whatever. But can you bring some of these skills to it, and what a powerful way to do so.
Yeah.
Thanks for
The
sharing that, Ashley.
intentionality is really what makes the difference, right? Like, yeah, we all could watch our favorite movie and just kind of sit there and enjoy or zone out. But
Mhm.
if we really want to engage in what's going on, we start asking ourselves questions about it and
Mhm.
trying to make our own meaning and predictions from what's going on.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for that, Ashley. Um, what about when emotions get challenging and chaotic? Like, is there's anything that you'd like to like remind parents of or invite them to do in those sorts of situations with their kids?
Yeah, absolutely. It is so hard sometimes when things get chaotic to remember that to put your own oxygen mask on first.
Hmm.
So it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, hey, I need to put a pause on this for now. Let's revisit. And it's so important because not only does that give you what you need, it gives your child what they need. Like in
Hmm.
those moments where it's really chaotic, you both need a break. You both need to take a pause, do something to take care of yourself so you can be in a place of problem solving
Hmm.
rather than reactivity.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'm just like hearing, I love the oxygen mask thing. I use that one a lot when I'm thinking about it for myself and making it reminding myself that it's okay, yeah, to take care of me. I have this kid I have to take care of, whether as a teacher or a parent. But yeah, taking care of me is key. Are there any, in taking those breaks, in managing the chaos, are there any, skills or practices? I think a lot of people have them, but just curious to know like any ideas that you have.
Yeah. Um, Setting up some common language around taking breaks is can be really helpful because then both you and your child or student know what that means and what the expectations around that are. And when you build this common language, these expectations, do it in a place where you're in problem solving mode, like you're in a calm place outside of any conflict.
Hmm.
When you're building something new, it's always nice to have some time to really talk about this is what the new is, and we're both going to make mistakes, but we're going to hold each other to these new steps.
Hmm.
And this is what it's going to sound like. And when I say, let's take a break, this means I'm going to go to the office, let's say in our house, and I'm just going to take 5 minutes and where's your space that you're going to go?
Hmm.
And that the expectation is we're both going to go to these safe, calm spaces. And after 5 minutes, we're going to come back together and see where we're at.
I love that. And I love, once again, it sounds like that intentionality, right? It's not waiting until the chaos hits or the moment to try to find the solution. It's being proactive. It might stem from that chaotic moment, like, yo, something's got to change here, right? But then finding that calm space and then communicating. Beautiful. What a beautiful approach. And I know it's going to be helpful for people out there when they give that a try. What about any simple mindfulness exercises that parents can do with their kids to promote emotional well-being?
Yeah. So I'm going to do one that stems right from those chaotic moments.
Awesome.
My favorite one to do when I myself can be dysregulated or when a student is dysregulated is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hmm.
And it stems from connecting our senses, like what's coming in, uh, to what is actually present. Because oftentimes when we're in a chaotic space, we're no longer connected to what is actually going on around us. We're more connected to what's going on internally.
Hmm.
So, 5 things that you can see in the space that you're at. 4 things you can hear in the space. 3 things you can smell. 2 things. Oh, now I messed it up.
If I, three things you can touch, maybe?
So it's 5 things you can touch, 4 things you can hear, oh no, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear. There we go. 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
Yes. Beautiful. And what is that? How does that help you specifically or other people that you've worked with?
Yeah. So what that does is it brings them into the present moment.
Hmm.
And when we can be in the present moment, we can start recognizing things like, I'm probably in a safe spot.
Hmm.
And I would suggest if you're coaching someone through this, make sure that they're in a safe spot, right? That's the number one priority. Like make
Hmm.
sure that they're in a place that they can be safe.
Hmm.
Um, so it helps them and their nervous system recognize I'm in a safe spot. It brings them into, it gives their mind something to do rather than think about the thoughts that are bringing about the chaos.
Hmm.
And then it allows them to tap into their breath and body experience just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
then next steps could be deep breathing to again start to lower the heart rate, continue to connect back in. And then from there, you might be able to go into problem solving depending on, or you might need to repeat some things to help support getting back to that thinking brain rather than
Mhm.
the more emotional brain.
Got you. So I just want a little bit of clarity. When you talk about problem solving mode, what I'm hearing is like a calm, uh, connected, grounded, maybe even centered. Some of these words are coming to mind. State of being where you can actually go about solving whatever challenge is in front of you, right? It might be like a conversation needs to be had. It might need to be a certain move needs to be made, but we're doing so from this space versus the more reactive emotional space. Am I following you on that?
Absolutely. And there's lots of great videos out there that explain this well for both adults and kids. Daniel Siegel is one of my absolute favorites. Uh,
Awesome.
look up Flipping Your Lid uh, by Daniel Siegel, and he explains the connection between our emotional and thinking brain very well and what happens when our lid is flipped and we're no longer connected to our thinking brain.
Awesome. And thank you for dropping in those resources. That was going to be one of my questions for you. Maybe we can just roll into that a little bit
Yeah.
now. So that was Daniel Siegel, Flipping Your Lid.
Yep.
Yep. And are there any other like books, YouTube channels, video, any other things that come to mind and potentially specific around a neurodiverse child or person or not?
What I guess the big thing that I will say is you can make any opportunity, book, TV show, movie, experience out in the world into a teachable moment. So I don't want anyone to feel like any suggestions that I make are these suggestions because you could be reading What to Do with a Problem would be one of the books that I suggest. And really intentionally think about questions that about problem solving and just expand beyond the book itself.
Mm.
One of my favorite books to use is Curious George at the airport. And in that book, Curious George gets lost, and we get to talk about the internal signals that our body has when something might go wrong or when we know that um, we might be afraid because Curious George is lost, so he feels
Mhm.
afraid.
Mhm.
Um, and what might be going on the inside of our bodies when we realize, oh, I'm lost. What's going on? So
Mhm.
it can be a book that is as direct as what to do with a problem, or just a simple book that you're reading with your child, like Curious George. And it's all about the questions that you ask around it.
Got you. Got you. Sorry, my light's flickering. So here
No,
we go.
that's okay. And uh, to get more specific, there's a YouTube channel called SEL Sketch. They have some wonderful videos that help teach and can be fun and interactive. Um, I also love the Calm app that has many different
Mhm.
mindfulness activities that people can engage with, and it spans from children all the way into adulthood. So it's great for the whole family.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for dropping those in there. I know there's a lot of free resources out there. So, I don't know if any of these, I know the Calm app, there's probably a free version of that SEL sketch. Is that something people would find on like YouTube or something like that?
Yep, that's a YouTube channel.
Awesome. So we'll be able to drop in these links in the description of this video and in our blog article that summarizes this whole conversation as well. So you guys can easily find that. Um, Speaking of finding Ashley, is there any way that people can get in touch with you to like learn more, ask questions, seek support?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a website. It's www.heartsongwellness, two S's. It's hearts like it belongs to you, song wellness.org. And you can also email me at ashley@heartsongwellness.org. Yeah.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Ashley. I have one more question. I feel like I missed this opportunity. I have one more question for you. What's one thing, we talked about a lot of things today. What's one thing that can make helping to raise healthy, loving kids easier for parents and teachers, from your perspective?
Oh, I love that you asked that question. Listen.
Mm,
Like if you can do one thing, it's listen. I know that it's hard when we see our kids struggle and we want to jump in and help. But when your kids are talking to you or experiencing hard things, listen to their experience, listen to what they're communicating to you before jumping in and trying to problem solve or offer solutions, because this is your kids' opportunity to let you into their inner world.
mm,
And they, when you listen and allow them to express in their genuine way, not only do they feel heard, but it allows them to feel confident in themselves and how they're expressing themselves and their emotions. And if you're ever in a situation where your kid's like really excited to tell you something and you can't be fully present, or it's just not the right time, it's okay to say that, because it tells them that you want to give them the time and the energy to really hear what they're saying. It's okay to
mhm,
say, hey, like, I'm not able to give you my full attention right now. Can we talk about this when we get home? Can we talk
mhm.
about this after dinner? Whatever it is. And then, yeah, reconnect with them and let them genuinely share themselves with you.
Beautiful, Ashley. Thank you so much. Listen, y'all, I'm taking this in. I love these conversations because I learn so much and I love the connection too. So, Ashley, just thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing, your insights and your techniques and your experience with us. And just, yeah, helping us all be able to raise these healthy, loving human beings. So, thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.